"You're siphoning power from the grid," the woman said, not looking up from her clipboard. "We have evidence." It was the way she said evidence that did it. Flat, rehearsed, already decided. The wind had picked up behind her, rattling the oak leaves along my driveway, and I remember thinking how strange it was that the day still smelled like rain, even though none was coming. I live alone by design, a small house at the edge of a planned community that pretends to be rural but isn't. There are rules here. Mailbox heights, approved paint colors, the exact shade of beige allowed for fences. But my place sits just far enough from the center to feel quiet. I chose it because the mornings were silent, because the evenings came with frogs and the slow creak of trees, because I could wake up, make coffee, and hear nothing but my own breathing. Routine was my luxury. Up at 6, coffee ground by hand, a walk around the perimeter of my property before the sun burned the dew away. Work from home, lunch on the back step, the small, clean comfort of knowing where everything was. The HOA had always been a background noise, newsletters, occasional emails about trash cans. I read them, complied, and moved on. I didn't attend meetings, I didn't volunteer, I kept my head down. Until the letter came. Notice of violation in bold, black type. Accusation in paragraph 3. Unauthorized use of community electrical infrastructure. A demand at the bottom. Immediate cessation and reimbursement pending investigation. I laughed when I first read it, a short bark of disbelief. I don't even know how to siphon electricity. My house is old but straightforward. Meter on the side, bills on time, end of story. I called the number listed, left a message, calm, polite, asked for clarification. No one called back. A week later, the clipboard woman showed up with 2 board members in tow. They walked my property like they owned it. One of them photographed my meter. Another pointed at the conduit running into my garage. "That's not standard," he said. "It's been there since the house was built," I replied. "I have the inspection reports." They didn't ask to see them. The woman finally looked up at me then. Her eyes were sharp, practiced. "We've had complaints," she said. "Unusual fluctuations. Someone is drawing power they're not paying for." "And you think it's me?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The first warning sign came that night. My porch light flickered, once, twice, then steadied. I shrugged it off. Old wiring, maybe. The next morning, my garage door stalled halfway down and then groaned shut like it was tired. I emailed the HOA, attached my last 12 months of utility bills, usage consistent, paid in full, asked again for specifics. Their response was brief. Investigation ongoing, cooperation expected. The tone shifted after that. A neighbor stopped waving on her morning jog. Someone posted anonymously on the community forum about energy thieves driving up our fees. A screenshot of my house appeared with the caption, "Check the meter." I stood in my kitchen that evening, hands on the counter, listening to the refrigerator hum. It sounded louder than usual. Everything did. I told myself it was stress, that this was a misunderstanding. Then the power went out. Not the whole neighborhood, just me. I called the utility company. They said there was no outage on my line. I checked the breaker. Everything was fine. I walked outside with a flashlight and saw the lock on my meter, their lock, fresh and gleaming. That was the moment it stopped feeling accidental. That was when I understood. This wasn't a mistake they were going to fix. This was intentional. If you like the video, please subscribe. The next letter arrived by certified mail, a demand for reimbursement. An amount so high it made my stomach drop. Threats followed, fines, liens, legal action, suspension of community privileges, whatever that meant. I did what I always do when something goes wrong. I slowed down. I documented everything. Dates, times, photos, emails saved as PDFs. I wrote like I was preparing for a deposition. because in my bones I felt like that's where this was heading. I requested a hearing. I showed up with a folder and a quiet voice. They sat at a folding table under fluorescent lights, all 5 of them, nameplates crooked. The woman with the clipboard chaired the meeting. They spoke in turns, used words like compliance and precedent. When I presented my bills, they dismissed them as inconclusive. "You have an unapproved connection," one of them said. "That's the issue." "Show me," I replied. They didn't. Instead, they circulated a report from a consultant. No name, no license number, just a paragraph claiming anomalous draw consistent with theft. Public opinion hardened. Someone left a note on my windshield, "Pay what you owe." Another neighbor asked loudly at the mailbox if I was one of those people who thinks rules don't apply. I stopped walking in the mornings. The isolation was the worst part. Not the threat of money, not the flickering lights. It was the way the quiet I loved turned hostile. Every sound felt watched. Every shadow felt like judgment. But isolation has a side effect. It sharpens your focus. I pulled the permit records from the county. My house was built 23 years ago. The electrical plan showed a shared trench with the common area lighting, standard at the time. A single junction box before lines split. I called the utility company again, asked for a technician to come out. He arrived in a white truck and listened carefully as I spoke. "Mind if I check something?" he asked. We stood by the junction box together. He opened it, whistled low. "That's not right," he said. Inside, a newer line, recently added, branched off after my meter and ran underground toward the clubhouse. "You're not stealing," he said slowly. "You're being stolen from." The realization landed like a physical thing. My knees went weak. He couldn't officially say more, but he did print out a usage analysis, highlighted the spikes, marked the dates. They coincided with events at the clubhouse, weddings, holiday parties, a new electric vehicle charging station installed last year. The antagonist wasn't a villain twirling a mustache. It was bureaucracy mixed with convenience. Someone on the board had authorized a shortcut, a cost-saving measure, and when the numbers didn't add up, they pointed the finger away from themselves. I installed cameras, quietly. I hired a licensed electrician and paid him cash to document everything. He filmed the illegal tap, pulled permits, took measurements. Then the HOA escalated. They cut my power again, filed a lien notice, sent a cease and desist accusing me of harassment for excessive communication. I lost work because I couldn't keep my equipment running. I slept in the dark. I ate cold food and told myself it was temporary. At the lowest point, I almost paid them, almost signed the agreement they slid under my door that would have ended it all, at the cost of my dignity and a false confession. Instead, I made a call. My sister is an attorney. We don't talk often. We're different people, but when I laid it out, facts only, no drama, she went quiet. "Don't pay," she said. "Send me everything." The apparent loss came 2 days later. A sheriff deputy knocked on my door with paperwork, a court date. My stomach sank. The HOA had filed first. They thought they'd won. I let them think it. The hearing room was bigger this time. Real judge, real stakes. The HOA's attorney spoke confidently, laid out their case: unauthorized use, community harm, pattern of non-compliance. He requested damages and enforcement. When it was our turn, my sister stood. She didn't raise her voice, she didn't dramatize, she introduced evidence like laying stones across a river. Utility records, permits, video footage, expert testimony from a licensed electrician, a statement from the utility technician, subpoenaed this time. Then the connection changed everything. A single still frame from my camera footage, time-stamped, the clipboard woman after dark, opening the junction box, adjusting the line, closing it. The room went silent. The judge leaned forward. The HOA attorney stammered, claimed misunderstanding, maintenance oversight. The judge asked why the line was installed without permits, why costs were billed to a private meter, why the board approved an accusation without inspection. Questions piled up, answers thinned. The county opened an investigation, then the state. Fraud, misappropriation, tampering with utility infrastructure. Board members resigned. The woman with the clipboard was charged. The lien was dissolved. My power restored, officially this time. In the aftermath, the neighborhood quieted. Apologies came in fragments, notes, awkward waves. I accepted none of it personally. I just went back to my routines. Coffee at 6, walks at dawn, silence reclaimed. Justice didn't feel loud. It felt like a deep exhale. I learned something in the process, about patience, about standing still when pushed, about how calm isn't weakness, it's preparation. If you've ever been accused, quietly, publicly, unfairly, how did you hold your ground?